Ah,
We'll scratch, we'll claw, we'll find things to talk about. We'll limp to the finish line. Actually, no, that's what hack radio shows do. This show just flat out entertains, dazzles, performs, and we get to about like 2/3 of what we always intend to because we're always jam-packed. Good morning, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Doing great. Had
Gr-
my red on this morning.
You're wearing your Masters red?
No, I was wearing my Phillies red,
Oh,
but now you notice I'm wearing pink because, well, we'll tell you why coming up. But
okay.
we're not wearing our Phillies red today.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to the greatest 4 days in golf. Me and Michael Pelka will have about a 282 text message thread over the next 4 days. I'll have to mute him eventually. Gregory, how are you, sir?
What's up? By the way,
Yes.
not to speak out of context here,
That's what we do all the time on the show.
the bus driver spoke out.
No.
Yes.
No.
Woohoo, the
Not to-
highlight.
Not to Dawn Stenslin, though.
Oh.
Oh,
She spoke to some local news station up there in
Cleveland?
Massachusetts or wherever it was. Was it Massachusetts or Cleveland?
I think it's Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Cleveland market is beneath Dawn Stenslin. That's where the minor leaguers do TV.
Amherst, I think it was.
Oh. Well, maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe then
I have no idea.
Is
So
there multiple Amhersts?
she is she's speaking out for the first time, and we have all the audio
Okay.
coming up at 7:45.
And
Awesome.
if you have no idea who the bus driver is, it was this lady that we played for you last week.
Damn it! How much more do you expect me to take?
That's just a little nibble there. The full stuff coming up at 7:45 this morning.
And I can see the video. We are streaming. You are streaming.
Yeah.
Just you right now because these cameras can't go live to YouTube yet.
The cameras can only handle so much.
We're live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Hit the subscribe button, follow along, comment along, give us some likes, give us some play there.
Yes.
Please.
Give us some play.
youtube.com/@1210WPHT.
All right. Final show for me before the Easter holiday. I'm going back to Nashville today. I'll be on a flight at 12:30 out of this godforsaken town. Hopefully I don't get mugged on the way to the airport or have people climbing telephone poles or vandalizing things. I'm sure Dawn will have that coming up here in the news
yeah.
in just a moment.
Well,
but
this
no
is
show
your-
for me again until Tuesday.
This is your this will be your last time having to travel to Nashville
That is correct.
until your family comes up here.
Right. We are
Good.
like in the 16th hole of golfing family relocation. There's like 2 holes to go.
Yeah.
And first time I've seen the kids since January 1st.
Oh my God.
I know.
What's your secret?
A great chef never reveals his magic secrets in his sauce and his recipes.
God.
Yes. All right. So much to get to this morning. But before we get to the big take, it's been a very newsworthy last 15 to 18 hours. And Dawn Stenslin has all of it and more.
Yes, and we've been following some developing stories. In Upper Darby, this is Delaware County, the community holding a prayer vigil for 2 little girls, twin girls, 5-year-olds, who were killed in that deadly house fire that we've been talking about earlier this week, in which 2 firefighters who were trying to save the girls were injured themselves. The mom in that case is also hospitalized. She had made her way out, jumped out of an upper story window. But these 2 little girls, and you see pictures of them online dressed in their little pink dresses. It's so sad. Neighbors, the community gathering to comfort one another, to bring a message to the family of the victims and try to raise money and raise awareness about fire safety, smoke detectors. This remains under investigation still. We don't know the cause of this fire, but it is still under investigation. We have a Philadelphia police officer recovering this morning after a chaotic, kind of a wild night in Philadelphia. At least 3 people were arrested, hundreds of teenagers causing chaos during what was described at one point as a flash mob in Center City. Police say hundreds and hundreds of mostly teenagers started causing disturbances right along Market Street. Started about 8 o'clock last night. And you see the teens just rushing toward police officers at different locations throughout Center City, including City Hall, Dilworth Plaza, kind of the Fashion District area. So witnesses say that some of the teenagers were throwing rocks at officers, gathered in large crowds, quite defiant. And so apparently it all began with a protest of people saying that fair housing is an equal right after that 35-year-old woman was shot in the head during an eviction proceeding at an apartment complex that we've reported on. Reportedly, that was how this whole thing started. But in any event, police ended it. We do have at least 3 people under arrest, and that one's still under investigation. There's a ton of video
Yeah.
from the area.
I was watching it last night. Philly Crime Update was posting stuff, and I'm just thinking about, and I saw eventually their thread where they said, supervisor now ordering officers to make arrests for disorderly conduct. It's like, we just allow this to keep happening. And then eventually it's like, okay, now we will order the arrests. Like if I was running this city, this would be me right now.
I'm gonna start kicking some serious ass.
I really would. I mean, at some point, don't you just have to say, you know what, we're gonna put a little kibosh and we're gonna nip this in the bud right now? Because if you don't stand up to it, you just permit it, and then people just keep going. Dawn, it's just so embarrassing.
It is, but I'm sure that just as the feds used that facial recognition technology and we still see people, being arrested for attending January 6th a couple of years ago, I'm sure that they'll spend years trying to track down every single
Oh
person
yeah.
through all of facial recognition
Oh,
and make
absolutely.
the appropriate
Yep.
arrests.
I remember years ago, Mike Tyson, famous boxer.
Mike Tyson,
Yeah, me. I am Mike.
I
But
got a tiger.
he famously once said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. It's time to start punching the offenders in the mouth in this city.
Ow.
That's what we need to start doing.
Well, last night, on a much nicer note, on a much calmer note, there were many synagogues across our region hosting Seder, many families, and actually, Benai Abraham Shabbat hosted a meal last night, Seder meal, the first night of Passover last night. So that was a wonderful community gathering as many Jews across the region, obviously across the world, are celebrating the season of Passover now for 8 days. We have our Phillies losing to the New York Yankees, and I'm supposed to put their score first, so they won 4, and we only had 2. Ah, but the good news is we get a day of rest. So today was supposed to be our home opener, so maybe Mother Nature kinda trying to give our Phils, the a day of rest
Yeah.
and kinda reboot.
After a 1-5 start, take some time off.
Yeah, right?
Just shut it down for a couple of weeks.
Not that we're bitter or anything,
Hit the
so
reset button.
wear your red tomorrow for our Philadelphia Phillies homeowner tomorrow. So here's the deal: tickets and parking for the postponed game. If you have tickets for today, it will be valid for admission tomorrow. All gates open tomorrow, 12:35, just after lunchtime. Pregame festivities start around 2:15 p.m. tomorrow. Phillies opening day, presented by Nemours Children's Health. It's versus the Cincinnati Reds, and obviously postponed, rescheduled to tomorrow, 3:05 p.m.
Let me just update that. At 12:30, the festivities began outside of Citizens Bank Park. Our own Dan Borowski will be down there live doing call-ins to the Dom show tomorrow. And he'll be down there starting at 12:30. So the whole thing, all the
So
festivities
he'll be there right
begin
when the gates open.
at 12:30.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And if they sustain any more injuries on the Phillies roster, Dan Borowski will actually be called up to the major league roster.
Hey, he's a big guy.
He
you know,
is.
Yeah,
He's
he
probably
is.
got a
He
good
is.
arm.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is he a lefty?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if Dan's a lefty.
Well, no, he's definitely a righty.
He's a righty?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I mean,
ha,
it's,
ha. Cute. Okay.
He's
Politics.
alrighty politically.
What does Meg Brock always say? Left-handed but right-brained.
I like that.
Isn't that a great
That's in her
saying?
Twitter profile.
That's right. Yep.
Not that I've ever noticed that or
I
anything.
love her. All right. So here's the deal with the forecast. So we're starting out mild. Then you're going to see the sun come out. You're going to say, what was Dawn talking about? Forecast. Okay. After lunchtime, we're looking at about 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's when there's a 30% ish chance. By 4 o'clock, it pops up there. So unfortunately for the evening rush hour, I know that a lot of people are off. It's Holy Thursday, Good Friday, as well as Passover that began last night, as well as Ramadan. So a lot of people are off. However, it's between 4 and 6 that we see very heavy showers. And in fact, the 5 p.m. hour, that's when we could see the lightning and the thunder. And my buddy boy, all the dogs around the area will be under the bed shaking with a lightning blanket and so on and so forth.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a little scary here.
Man.
But yeah, so 80 degrees. Sorry, I'm breaking out the don't worry. Nick, you could tell Nick is off for the
Yeah.
4 days because he broke out the buddy voice
Yeah.
at 6 in the morning. But in any event, that's your T-Mobile Weather Center forecast. By 6:30 tonight, it's a done deal. And then it cools us off, unfortunately, but at least bright sunny skies or mostly sunny skies for your Friday 61, Saturday 53, bright sunny Easter Sunday 57 degrees. That's your T-Mobile Weather Center forecast. And this is Kayal and Company News Live.
Dawn with the news. Thank you very much, Dawn. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in as we move along. 6:14 on a Thursday. Let's get to one more big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take on this Thursday, the lay of the land in GOP land. On Tuesday, Donald Trump was arraigned on 34 felony charges by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And on Tuesday, it confirmed three things. Number one, Alvin Bragg's an idiot. Number two, Donald Trump is being persecuted. And number three, and probably most importantly, and especially for the sake of the big take, the Republican primary for 2024 is officially over. Nikki Haley, thank you for participating. Please grab your commemorative, it was a fun run while it lasted t-shirt on the way out. Vivek Ramaswamy, you keep on posting your videos on social media for the policies you'd like to implement if you ran the country. Just use the hashtag pipe dream with every post you make moving forward. Asa Hutchinson, your timing was about as bad as it gets. Just go back to doing whatever it is you've been doing since you left the state of Arkansas. And Ron DeSantis, it's not your time, sir. I hate to break it to you. Your star might be burning bright in the state of Florida, but you've ran into a buzzsaw. And that buzzsaw is Donald Trump, a persecuted Donald Trump. Actually, it's a buzzsaw on steroids right now, thanks to district attorneys with political motives to prosecute politicians while letting criminals off lightly in his city. Trump has boat raced past Ron DeSantis in recent weeks, with some polls saying he is well over a 30-point lead. And it's reasons like this. Here's Donald Trump Tuesday night at Mar-a-Lago. Take a listen to this.
This is a persecution, not an investigation. She's put our family through hell. It's cost hundreds of millions of dollars to defend, but our heads are held very, very high. They want to settle the case, but I want no part of that. So here we are now, where we were today, in a city that was so great just 4 or 5 years ago. But now we're there, spend time there today, as you possibly read, with a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case, there's no case. They kept saying, there's no case. Virtually everyone. But it's far worse than that, because he knew there was no case. That's why last week he delayed for a month and then immediately took that back and threw this ridiculous indictment together. Came out today, everybody said, this is not really an indictment, there's nothing here. My lawyers came to me and they said, there's nothing here, they're not even saying what you did.
And I've said with Ron DeSantis for months that your tougher challenge would be Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. And now that we've seen the flimsiest indictment in modern American jurisprudence, it's time to read the room and lay low. And that's for every GOP candidate not named Donald J. Trump. And it's not just Trump or the prosecution against Trump that has led to this groundswell of support for Donald J. Trump, but it's the Democrats that are gunning for you. And now officially it's begun with Ron DeSantis. Their attacks, just in the event he would somehow, some way end up being the choice amongst Republican voters. But as we know right now, on April the 6th, 2023, that is not the case, although it is still very early. And look, I get it. When it comes to DeSantis, you haven't taken much of the bait from Trump. And I know he's probably not scared of Democrats. Hell, you've waged war with Disney and schools that want left-wing indoctrination across the entire state. But discretion is the better part of valor, Ron DeSantis. And unless Donald Trump dies from death by a million paper cuts, aka 3 or 4 prosecutions simultaneously, ranging from Manhattan to Georgia to January 6th to the Mar-a-Lago document raid, from this prosecutor to this attorney general on down the list, Ron DeSantis, you've got zero chance. But here's the thing. That's fine, because your spin is this. You say the following: I never declared. I never said I was running. The media anointed me. I have a second term to fulfill in Florida, coming off of a landslide re-election. And I have unfinished business in the greatest state in the nation. Boom. Done. But the other reason you need to be aware of, Ron DeSantis, the Democrats are gunning for you, and they have plenty of ammo for their naive voting base. According to Axios, headline, Dems dump 500 pages of DeSantis opposition research. That came out on Monday. It's been completely under the radar because we've been on Trump arraignment watch, and rightfully so. But Democrats on Monday released 500 pages of opposition research as a preemptive strike on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and a potential 2024 presidential campaign. And why it matters? Well, the extensively researched effort is the latest sign that Democrats view DeSantis as a candidate worth taking down before his anticipated campaign takes off. Translation: the establishment doesn't want him, and they don't view him to be a rhino or a conservative. They view him to be no different than Trump. And maybe that's great for us. Maybe it's bad for us. We'll see. But right now, at this very moment, the race is absolutely over. And unless the circumstances change or Trump's situation changes, DeSantis might want to come to the realization that, you know what? In 2028, he's still only going to be 49 years old. And that's still incredibly young for a president in the United States of America. But make no mistake about it. After what transpired this week, officially in court, as of April 6, 2023, the primary is over, as the race for 2024 hasn't even really begun. And that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take on this Thursday morning. If you would like to jump in on the conversation, you can certainly do so. 855-839-1210, the phone number. Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at 1210 WPHT. Come back. We'll get your reaction if you want to jump in. Get Dawn and Greg's thoughts as well. Is the Republican primary over essentially before it started in light of all the legal transactions from this week? And then also within the GOP, couple of ladies making some power moves. We'll highlight them coming up next here on Kayal and Company.